Geno, also known as the Ageless Champion, is here as the last reality has ordered him to execute their next big plan, which might lead us to a huge life event. But to understand this, we have to go all the way back in Chapter 2. Please leave a like, subscribe, and use code SamJam. 0 Point is about to destabilize. It is about to explode that could destroy the reality as we know it. After Galactus exposed the 0 Point, in Chapter 2 Season 5, everyone used the 0 Point to escape the loop, despite Agent Jones hiring a bunch of hunters to stop people going into the loop. Because it was overused, the 0 Point was completely shattered. Agent Jones has no other option but to go to the 7 to fix this problem. But Dr. Sloan, who hates the 7, orders Agent Jones to walk away and do not go to the 7. Because Dr. Sloan knows that the 7 tried to destroy the 0 Point in Chapter 1, which led us to being here in Chapter 2. The reason why the 7 are trying to destroy the 0 Point is to stop the loop. See, the loop is a creation of the Imagine Order. They have studied the power of the 0 Points for thousands of years. Everything you see on the Fortnite Island, from storm circles, loot chests, even people on the Fortnite Island, in fact, a snapshot created by the Imagine Order to populate the island. Problem with these people on the island, they have no memory, they cannot talk. In a way, they're all slaves to the Imagine Order. That's exactly why the 7 and Midas tried to stop this loop, but unfortunately we all know that both of them failed. But Agent Jones disobeys the order, uses his portal gun to bring the Foundation to this island. As soon as the Foundation sees Agent Jones, he attacks him. Obviously they're still enemies. Just before Foundation is about to finish Agent Jones, Jones mentions to the Foundation that he's going to take him to Geno and the sisters. Now this is the very first time we ever heard the name Geno. Sisters, we know, are 2 of the members of the 7. Why is Geno so important to the Foundation? Why wouldn't Agent Jones take him to Sloan instead? Isn't she the head of the IO? No, she's not. This picture was found inside of the Imagine Order's headquarters. You can see this man handing Dr. Sloan her license. He is in fact the head of the Imagine Order. He is Geno. During the collision event, while we're waiting on the moon, there was a secret dialogue between the Foundation and Jones. Foundation says Dr. Sloan isn't the evil one. She's just following orders. The person we need to be very careful of is Geno. During the same event, after they defeat Dr. Sloan, what we didn't see in the background, one of the sisters and Wolverine is fighting against Geno, and they both fall into the 0 Point. At that moment, the 0 Point focuses on Geno. That is when the Foundation and Jones jumps into the 0 Point. Geno tricks them into thinking he is dead. After he leaves, he pieces himself back together. Chapter 4 is here, and we are introduced to Ageless Champion, who is a snapshot of Geno. The reason why we are getting Ageless Champion now, before they gave us actual Geno skin, is because Fortnite wants us to see the origin of Geno and the beginning of the Imagine Order. Because when the Fortnite map got destroyed, the 0 Point brought different parts of the map from different realities to create a Chapter 4 map. In a way, Chapter 4 map is like the earlier days of Fortnite. We are basically seeing the birth of the Imagine Order and the 7. If you go to Citadel, you would see the earlier versions of the Imagine Order's logo. There's also another group called the Reality Warriors, and their main headquarter is Brutal Bastion. They're like the ancient early version of the 7. Now Paradigm thinks Geno is dead, so she decides to work with Ageless Champion because she knows that this Fortnite map is vulnerable because we don't have that shield protection anymore, meaning the last reality are on their way to attack the Fortnite map. And now that the Foundation is missing and rest of the 7 being kidnapped by the Nothing, she has no other option but to work with Ageless Champion. One thing Paradigm didn't know know that the Ageless Champion secretly trying to bring the original Geno to this Fortnite map. He's doing this by creating this rift gate. He has hired a rift warden, and he reveals to us about this Shapeless man. He says that this man has no shape. He can communicate you through your dreams, and if you don't build him the rift gate, he's going to destroy everything. Now we know that after Geno got destroyed, he was piecing himself back together and he didn't have a shape. Even though it's not been confirmed, what if the Shapeless man is in fact a Geno? But someone tampers with the rift gate and it destabilizes and explodes, creating a giant portal in the sky. In Chapter 4 Season 2, the Ageless Champion and the Rift Warden has gone missing. They've been captured by Geno and being punished for failing to create the Rift Gate. We are warned by the Peace Syndicate that people working for the Lost Reality is already on the map because someone hacked into the system and corrupted everything that they had on Lost Reality. And obviously now we are starting to see some random events taking place like giant earthquake. Still don't know if Geno is the Nothing and the Shapeless man. Has he got anything to do with the Lost Reality? Or is he trying to fight against the Lost Reality to protect the Fortnite map? Because if you remember, the Imagined Order protected the Fortnite map for thousands of years. Geno was the mastermind controlling everything until the Seven took over. We all know what happened to Chapter 3 map. They couldn't even protect it for a few seasons. Now we are here in Chapter 5 and out of the blue we see Ageless Champions on this map. Now I think he is here for a reason. Like I mentioned earlier, the Shapeless man told Ageless Champion to build him a rift so he can come to the Fortnite island. Obviously he failed and we did not see the Ageless Champion. I think they got captured by the Shapeless man because I believe the Shapeless man had people on this island working for him. It could be Triarch Nox because he did destroy the Lost Reality intel Peace Syndicate had by hacking into their system. Also, Serenade, this character appeared out of nowhere in Chapter 4 and she controlled these monoliths that was laying around the map. Maybe these monoliths had the power to summon the Shapeless man and this was his second plan. But unfortunately, there was a massive earthquake and it destroyed a bunch of monoliths. And we also know that Herald was on the map as well because she transformed into the reality tree before exploding the Chapter 3 map, and that part of the tree was on the Chapter 4 map. After the Rift Gate got destroyed, I believe these people kidnapped Ageless Champion and the Rift Warden, and I believe the Shapeless man told Ageless Champion the only way he's going to spare him is by helping the Shapeless man on his next big plan. And I think that big plan is going to take place on this Chapter 5 map. You see, a lot of people think that the Shapeless man is either working for the Lost Reality or is the head of the Lost Reality. And ever since the Lost Reality was defeated, they have been trying their best to take control of the Fortnite map. And also, if you've noticed in the past, Lost Reality only attacks when there is a war going on the map. For example, in Chapter 2, there was a war going on between the Shadow and the Ghost. That was when the Lost Reality attacked. Giant UFO showed up on the map. And also we know in Chapter 3, when there was a war going on between the Imagined Order and the Seven, one of the Lost Reality agents, Herald, showed up on the map and took over the map when everyone was distracted. That is the reason why in Chapter 4, Triarch Nox and Serenade tried to sabotage the Peace Syndicate's plans and blamed it on the Fox Clan because they were trying to start off between the Fox Clan and the Peace Syndicate. But Thunder, who's actually very smart and knows a lot about the Lost Reality, knew exactly what was happening. Now here we are in Chapter 5. The history is repeating. We have a war on the map between the Society, who's owned by this man called Montague, and the Underground, who's run by Agent Jones. And the Underground's mission is basically to stop the society taking over the map. They basically want to be the next Imagine Order. Especially now, the tension between the Underground and the society is extremely high because the society has just kidnapped one of the members of the Underground, Peely. And the Lost Reality has now seen another opportunity to attack the island. That is the reason why they have sent the Ageless Champion to execute this huge plan that they're cooking. We will find out more about this very soon, so please leave a like, subscribe, and use code SamJam because I will be here to tell you guys everything about it.